Hello, good evening. Welcome to a fresh edition of Game On here on News Central Television. It's been another rather depressing day for Team Nigeria at the Olympic Games. Athletes falling left and right. No one giving us any kind of promise regarding the possibility of a medal. And probably our biggest hope of probably getting the medal at these Olympic Games was eliminated earlier today in the most stunning and shocking of circumstances. We'll be talking about all that and much more. But as you can imagine, the recriminations have begun. The knives are out, and everybody's asking that not one head, but multiple heads should roll for what has become what a lot of people have called the Paris Fiasco. Don't forget that we're streaming live on YouTube and also streaming on our social media handles as well. And of course, we're coming to you live on channel 422 on DSTV and channel 274 on Star Times. Of course, the handles are there on your screen. The handle is at News Central TV. So please join us. We would really like to know your opinion regarding Nigeria's participation at these Olympic Games. They have not been particularly edifying, but a lot of people are scrambling to pick out the silver linings, if any, from what has gone on in Paris. There are three other gentlemen with me in the studio, and one of them is particularly champing at the bit. He cannot wait to get right into the meat of the action and start laying left and right, looking for anyone who he feels are to blame for what has been Nigeria's abysmal performance at the Olympic Games. But I won't start with him. I will start to my far right, and he makes a return after a long absence. Favor Itwa, looking particularly well-fed and refreshed after, was it 2 or 3 weeks in Abidjan?
I was not in Abidjan.
You were in Abidjan, Favor. You can paint it any way we like. We know you were in Abidjan.
Anyways, it was a fantastic one, but of course, I was still kept tabs with sports and hoping that after our flag was hoisted at the Olympics, we would have been counting medals by now. But I want to use the opportunity to apologize to Nigerians on the show.
Why?
Because I did say that we'll get at least two. I was looking at wrestling and also athletics, and Wale Adigo did say we should not look forward to a much. I was optimistic, but I think I need to apologize for saying that, because at the end of the day,
it's not really your fault. It's not your fault. You are not in charge of Team Nigeria. But I was just going to ask you.
I mean,
no, Chantel. Sorry. But moving on. There's also our very own former Super Eagles media officer, former senior special assistant to the former Minister of Sports Development, a journalist par excellence, and also a sports administrator. Toyin Ibitoye joins us tonight as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Toyin. Looking resplendent in a tan jacket, by the way.
Well, trying to put on a very positive mood and try to brighten up for the future.
Oh, yeah.
See what lessons we can learn, and officially begin to search for our medals at the Paralympic Games. For me, it looks like these games are over in terms of aspirations for medals, because our best medal hopefuls have failed to deliver.
Maybe
because Favor hasn't been around.
Oh yeah,
he's supposed to have brought a lot of
Favor.
A lot of Favor.
So
now you are coming on a day when there's nothing to.
Oh, God.
We can blame. One more.
But we had the Favor of Philly at the Olympic Games. And the Favor as well. None of them brought any favor.
And Toby also.
But there's still one more wrestler. We still have one wrestler tomorrow. So maybe you transfer all of the Favor and the hope on that one.
Well, we'll see how that pans out. But
that wrestler must be carrying a whole lot.
The same. Well, we'll talk about that in a short while. But this man is here in the studio. I'm actually loath to actually introduce him, because before we came on air, he was actually telling me that I look like an overripe Agbalumo. He has
what does that mean?
That was not a compliment. He said it was, but I know it was not a compliment. But Wale Adigo is here as well. Mr. Diggs, champion at the bit. Can't wait to glare into everyone and anything that has happened in the last 2 weeks for Team Nigeria. Wale, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I need to make up for lost time. Couldn't make it down here yesterday. Traffic was crazy.
The traffic was horrendous.
So I have to make up for lost time. So, I mean, you guys should give me my flowers. When I'm brutally honest and objective, you guys think I'm just trying to be dogmatic. I'm just trying to be pessimistic. But it is what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's call it Agbalumo and Agbalumo.
Oh, God. Okay, we'll see. For this, we are not giving you flowers. We are giving you a bunch of ugu.
The truth about it is we're never going to win medals, with the way we prepared. But I'm not always happy when things like this happen. I don't derive happiness because I'm Nigerian as well. I want us to do well. It is my industry, and it is a thing of joy to see our athletes want to win medals. So it's great to be here, and I think it's almost officially over in terms of our participation.
Almost one more participant tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe who knows? We might be involved. Maybe the minister might be involved in marathon tomorrow.
Is there a marathon for ministers?
No.
Well, that's the introductions done and dusted. It's time to get into the Olympic Games proper. Everything that transpired today in Paris at the Olympic Games. Well, it didn't start, today didn't start for Team Nigeria on a particularly positive note. Reigning world champion Toby Amusan and also reigning, actually the world record holder in the women's 100 meters today failed to qualify for the women's 100 meter hurdles final in the Paris Olympics. The sprinters' elimination came as a shock to many worldwide who had high hopes for her performance in the event. Amusan, who has been a dominant force in the hurdles in recent years, finished 9th overall in the semi-finals, just missing out on a spot in the final. The Nigerian athletes' elimination was by the smallest of margins, with only the top 8 runners advancing to the final. Gentlemen, this was a shock of cataclysmic proportions. Nobody saw this one coming. Worst case scenario, she would get to the final. She finished 3rd in her heat. There you see, behind Grace Stark and another athlete as well. But what something normally doesn't, it's very uncommon to see one heat where 4 athletes do particularly well in terms of their timing, and that was how and why she was eliminated. But Favour, it was I'm at a loss for words, actually.
Well, it's really shocking. I mean, for Toby Amusan, looking at the time she has posted before coming to the Olympics, she has run a very good race, and then the heat. And looking at how she qualified, but one thing was certain: if you had monitored her closely, slow start has been one of the key issues for Toby Amusan. Even in the heat, she had a slow start. She recovered well to win that particular heat. That should have sent a signal to Toby Amusan, telling her that she needs to be able to move when the gun is short. And that's one thing I think that did not play well for her. And then a case of the paparazzi and overconfidence in our own self.
Overconfidence?
In the sense that, don't forget, in the 1,500 meters, we saw an upset.
Yes.
Preston did not win the 1,500 meters. It was Hawker from the United States of America who upset that one. We've seen lots of upsets in these Olympics, especially in athletics. So it was supposed to have sent.
But Inge Bixton made it to the final. Toby didn't even make it to the final.
I mean, it's shocking. But then again, Nigerians also did. I believe she did not really. Put a lot of final highs and dotting the finals and crossing the finals, in the sense that, yes, you're going into Nigerians are expecting that you deliver. In fact, everyone is talking about the possibilities of Toby Amusan giving us a medal at the Olympics. Maybe something went wrong on the day, but I think, first of all, she didn't start on time. Secondly, overconfidence led to...
You say overconfidence?
I'm saying it because I post interviews from after the heats. She sounded like someone that was going all the way. I know it's normal with athletes, you want to show like allows and everything. Yeah. I think she should have done it on the tracks instead of going out to make those, it should just have been like that.
Tony, there's a school of thought who said that this was a case of too much pressure. That we've seen this happen before. I think it was Blessed Okagbari. I think it was at the Rio Olympic Games where she got to the final, and I think everyone was saying that she had to get the medal. There were sports ministry officials, NOC officials going to visit her, telling her that you are our last hope and this and that. That the pressure was too much, and she subsequently crumbled. And they said that this might have repeated itself again in Paris, because she was definitely Nigeria's best medal hope at these Olympic Games. And she probably couldn't deal with the pressure. Was it a case of that, or was it a case of bad luck, or overconfidence, like Favour is insinuating?
I don't want to agree that it's the pressure, because if you are an elite athlete, it comes with the pressure.
Yeah.
Not just an elite athlete, world record holder, world champion in your event. It comes with the terrain. Pressure comes with the terrain. So it's not a matter of too much expectation or pressure or all of that. We have already identified one of the lapses. Poor start.
She herself identifies that as her biggest
poor
weakness.
Start. And we saw it in the heat that she won. Interestingly, the time she posted in that heat, if she had repeated it today, she would have conveniently qualified for the finals. So it was not a case of overconfidence for me. It wasn't a case of too much pressure. It was just a case of, when a mistake repeats itself over and over, sometimes you get punished. When you don't start,
when you least expect it.
Yeah, you get punished, and that was what happened to Toby today. It's very painful that she's not going to be there. Getting into the final to compete is a big blow to her and to us as a nation. But I think this is the time for the Federation, AFN, to just get behind her. Toby is not new to this kind of setbacks.
No.
She will go down and then she will bounce back.
True.
It has happened over and over and over. So I hope that this is not going to be the last for her. I hope she's able to bounce back from this setback. I don't know whether it's too early or too late in her career to change that poor start, because it has been with her for a long time. So she has to bounce back definitely from this setback and get her acts together.
Wale?
Yeah, I think our false starts are a function of...
False starts.
Our poor starts are a function of some consistent false starts she's always had. Yeah, she suffered disqualification a couple of times for false starts.
She was even lucky at the African Games.
Yeah, so that had crept into her psychology, and she likes starting slowly. And you cannot blame her because of what has happened. But what happened today in Paris is not overconfidence, honestly. I think it's just a case of a bad day in the office. And it was always coming. When we were previewing the athletics, remember I told you guys how I was uncomfortable with the time she was posting. This year alone, she's not even in the top 10 in the 100 meters hurdles for times. She's 12th. Nihali, even Grace Stark.
Yeah, maybe she was saving the best for last.
See, the truth about it is they said any weekend that will be interesting, you know, from Thursday or Friday, right? She was not giving us that vibe. So the fact that she was not priming herself up showed here. You guys said I'm shocked as well that she didn't make the final. I don't think she would have won a medal, but at least she should have done the final, and that is what makes
Worst
it
case
shocking.
scenario.
That's what really makes it shocking, and I think it's just a bad day in the office. Trust me, run this race again tomorrow, and this lady is going to qualify. It's just a bad day in the office.
It's just inconsistency.
I was thinking she was going to do. I mean, I've seen it happen at these Olympics, whereby if you're not sure of starting on time or doing a slow start, you just raise your hands. You might be given a yellow card, and then the race will be done. I mean, we've seen it happen where the gun is shot, and athlete raises his or her hands to say, "Hey, I'm not ready yet." Others have gone. They say, "Okay, come back." I mean, I saw it happen some days ago. So maybe should have just, I don't know. I mean, to have
that doesn't stop.
Immediately, just to probably,
That doesn't stop a poor start.
No,
not like a poor start though.
Toby's problem is it's been there for a long time.
Yeah,
and we were hoping, and at the World Championship, she worked on it, and then she was starting a lot quicker in the World Championship where she set that world record.
Budapest?
Yeah.
Oregon, US.
Because if Toby can get that good start, she will be breaking records.
But it's also a mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag. Unfortunately for her today, it didn't work. She powers in towards the end and is able to beat the other competitors, but today it didn't work out.
They're masters of it. I mean, former Usain Bolt, former champion, is master of it.
Even Laos is a poor starter. True. Poor starter, but finishes strong.
But the honest truth was that she was not the only Nigerian athlete who had a bad day in the office as well. Nigeria's representatives in the women's taekwondo event, Elizabeth Ayanacho, lost her second round fight in the 67-kilogram category. Ayanacho lost 2-0 to China's Ji Song, who progressed to the quarterfinals. Elsewhere in the women's 62-kilogram wrestling event, Esther Omolayo Kolawale lost 5-1 to Kyrgyzstan's Aysulu Tinberkova, who won the bout with a victory by points. And it didn't get any better for Team Nigeria in the men's 125-kilogram freestyle wrestling, as Ashton Mutua lost by technical superiority, losing 11-0 to Hungary's Daniel Ligeti in the second round. And even in the weightlifting today, Joy Eze, who is an African champion and also reigning African Games champion as well, she also came 7th in her event, and it has been particularly poor for Nigeria today. And speaking about, regarding what we were talking about before we came on air, there was a major story yesterday regarding a Nigerian cyclist who had to lend a bike from the German team in order to be able to compete. Well, Nigerian Sports Minister John Eno has actually explained what happened regarding the Nigerian cyclist Ese Okweseraye having to borrow a bicycle from the German team to compete. Okweseraye, the only African cyclist among 30 competitors, sparked social media frenzy yesterday, thanking the German team for lending her a bicycle due to a lack of the required equipment. But Eno, however, in his own statement on X, explained that Team Nigeria had not initially planned to participate in the specific race in question, and therefore no prior preparations were made. He also stated that special equipment is needed for the track races, and it takes months to be delivered after it is ordered. So I think that pretty much clears.
It doesn't.
It doesn't?
No.
Really? Wale?
No.
You have a...
I mean, the senator or the minister is just trying to save face, honestly, because if 2 weeks was the space between preparing essay.
No, she was giving notice that she would be
basically. But there was 2 weeks, right?
Mm.
I think those 2 weeks were enough to at least borrow a bike or rent a bike. I mean, you don't need to buy it, But I mean, Nigeria only has one velodrome.
To borrow a bike?
Oh yeah,
she borrowed from the Germans.
Exactly, but does that really put us in good light? When we could have done that
ourselves? To borrow from the manufacturers?
What I'm even saying is that even that means the ministry knew that she was going to compete in this event for 2 weeks.
So she was told 24 hours ago.
No, and they still told her to go and compete in this event. That's what was happening. And I've done my research. I've checked and checked. There are companies in the UK, in Canada, in Italy. Cervelo is in Italy. Chinelli is in the UK. Fuji Bikes is in the UK, and they can make these bikes ready. They don't have to build from scratch. You can borrow, you can rent it. So this
what if they didn't have anyone available to rent?
You don't know this. These are world-renowned. Chinelli has been around since the 1880s. These are world-renowned bike
manufacturers.
Yeah, so we can't be throwing all of this. The minister fixed his Paris trip under 1 hour now. So why can't he fix a bike in 2 weeks?
Well, one thing is for sure, they possibly couldn't have bought a bike within 2 weeks because they are not sold off the shelf. But considering what Wale said, they could have probably rented one. I don't know, maybe from any of these cycling clubs that dot the European landscape. But it's an interesting case, and it just goes to show that just how ill-prepared Team Nigeria was for this particular competition as well. But just to take a quick listen to what the minister had to say today, he was speaking to journalists at the French embassy earlier today, speaking to Nigerian journalists, and was trying to pick out the silver linings. I beg your pardon, Nigerian embassy in France. In Paris, he was trying to pick out the silver lining from Team Nigeria's participation at these Olympic Games.
Was never found wanting. All that was requested for was provided. I don't understand how, because I know how just won Olympics. I know how much it had impacted on me, on my thinking, on my imagination that things shouldn't be this way. Olympics is not what you come and disgrace yourself. So if you want to avoid that disgrace, you must work hard to be able to do well in order not to get out disgraced. Unless perhaps majority of people just look at this as just a jamboree, just come every 4 years. There is you're not looking at it in terms of the seriousness that it is. I don't know whether you were here at the beginning, but I think that I mentioned a number of things. And I said that fortunately, we have the National Youth Games that are coming up later in the year. We have the National Sports Festival. I mean, if at previous times we just looked at these games as normal routine, I think that for the first time, the outcome of these Olympics should more than challenge us to be more serious and more strategic in terms of the products that are going to come out of these various games and in terms of what to do with them going forward. They become our own beginning seed program.
Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Eno, spouting fire and brimstone, talking about Nigeria's participation at these Olympics, serving as, do I say, a precursor of things to come, how we can learn a lot from this in terms of going forward and our participation in future international competitions like the Commonwealth Games and the Olympic Games especially. But Toyin, I have to come to you. We've heard this many times from many different ministers, from many different officials, even previous heads of state, but nothing really changes. And like Wale said, if we had said this, if we had this show 4 years ago,
3 years ago,
or 3 years ago, we'd probably be saying the same thing. And it seems as if nothing seems to change.
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation.
Stuck in some kind of dystopian nightmare where the same thing keeps happening over and over again.
It's a very interesting situation. This is not the first time. Well, we still have one athlete tomorrow, so let's not. Let me land.
The fan lady hasn't sung yet.
Let's wait.
The microphone is going to her, but she hasn't sung.
Let me land. This is not the first time we'll be having an Olympics where we are not winning any medals.
True. London 2012 comes readily to mind.
Rio was Samson Siasa's football team that won us the bronze.
Yeah.
And if you know what the Samson Siasa team went through to winning that bronze, it was an interesting story. Remember, they flew for their first game 5 hours for the first match. So these issues...
when the likes... Understand what some people are saying, that if the likes of St. Lucia, a small island nation of 180,000 people...
Cape Verde is on the medal table.
Are winning medals.
The refugee Olympic team
are winning medals.
Are on the medal table.
200 million plus athletic, strong Nigerians cannot win.
There is a systemic problem with our sports. We have athletes, how to manage those athletes to win medals, big issue. Our athletes 20 years ago were running faster than we're running now. You know, the Olapa days, the Ezinwas. 20 years ago, at the 1996 Olympics, we were ahead of Team GB on the medals table. But we can't even put a spotlight to them now. Because they realize that, look, we have to change our system, we have to change our structure, we have to produce, constantly invest in sports.
So in terms of changing that structure, someone advocated for going back to what we used to have before, the National Sports Commission.
I'm not
the CEO who has a tenure term.
Let me take it from what Toya said.
Okay.
He said there's a systemic problem, right?
Okay.
You know where that systemic problem starts from? It starts from this man we just watched on TV.
Oh, hold on. No,
wait. I'm going somewhere.
Okay.
I'm not pointing blames. It starts from the man who was there before him. Because they are clearly square pegs in round holes. The question here is, what is their pedigree in sport administration?
Hold on.
When you
hold on. That's not the issue.
That is the issue.
That is not the issue.
I was going to say something.
That is the issue.
Hold on.
Yes, hold on.
The problem is a lack of continuity.
That's also another thing too.
Somebody comes. Before this man, there was Sunday Dare. Before Sunday Dare, there was a Dalong. Before Dalong, there was, I think, it was the same problem that we always talked about. He spent this month. There was a time we were having an average of one sports minister per year.
Which is why I'm saying that maybe if we have a sports commission, we have like a CEO who is there for 6 years, right? Possibly renewable.
Look, even when we had the National Sports Commission, what happened?
Yeah,
they were wiped out.
But Toyin, I want to tell you something.
What's the Nigerian problem?
That's what I'm talking about. The systemic problem.
Toyin, one of the sports ministries in this, or sports federations, or some of the sports federations that are doing well, although to be fair, they didn't win medals. But we have a feeling that they are progressing forward.
They have potential.
Some of those federations are being managed by square pegs in square holes. Technocrats. Danny Gali, the guy in volleyball, the guy in handball. In handball as well. They are managed by people who know about the game. You cannot tell me here tonight at this time that Eno knows about the game. He can know about one or two things. See, once we don't have people like that, we are just...
with the benefit of experience, let me tell you, somebody like Eno may not even have done anything about sports in his life. Okay. But if he's surrounded by those who know, he will succeed.
So is he?
The issue is Eno is there now. Before he learns from his mistakes and tries to get better and tries to put the structure in place, he's gone. Another person comes, he reverses all that Eno has been doing and wants to start afresh.
But it's still a question that Wale asked.
We are on the same lane.
Do we have competent people in the system?
We are on the same lane.
So the question is, from the presidency, anytime the portfolio is being given, like a ministerial appointment and everything, do they do thorough search as to who should be given?
Yes, there's somebody that I not mentioned here.
When I say permanent secretary,
there's a permanent secretary that has more like an elongated run.
A proper civil servant who's been there for years.
What's he doing? What's he doing?
You see the reason why I say you should always try to find out about all of these things. The permanent secretary who is there now is barely 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, the other one was taken out of the ministry.
The other one that came was barely a year or so. He left. The one that was before him barely spent a few months and he left. So it's a systemic issue.
So let's first agree, Jen. Do we have people who in this country who can run it properly.
Yeah, but they are not there right now.
They are not there right now. Yes. We have athletes who are capable of winning medals for Nigeria.
Definitely. Let me tell you.
So what is the problem?
We've had a man who was a sports person through and through as sports minister before.
The professor?
No, there was a professor of sports.
Yes. Yeah.
What happened? Tawhid Adedoja.
Yeah.
What happened? The same issue. There was a Ndanusa who was a tennis man.
Yeah.
What happened? A few years, 1 year, he was gone.
So very quickly.
But we've also seen a lot of them do. I mean, like for instance, the Cycling Federation president.
Very quickly, gentlemen. We are running out of time. So, but Favor. So how do we fix this? Very quickly, your own words.
So from the angle of the federal government angle, we need to take sports as business. That's first. Secondly, we need to also look for square pegs in square holes.
Okay.
Then also, I don't want to talk just about the grassroots per se. Let's go to schools and ensure that whatever is the modern practice in sport is being taught or being done in schools. Not just say come outside and run. And we need to take it as something that.
Toy, you?
Yeah, it's the same issue for me. When you have somebody who understands the game and who is putting structures and programs in place, let that program be sustained, whether it remains in office or not. So another person comes and look at
that boils out what we talked about the national sports policy.
Continuity of developmental programs is very key. When it doesn't happen, we are always truncated.
Okay. Wale, your own opinion? Someone have said political will, a lack of political will.
Has to take his hands off sports.
That's not possible. No.
I'm not saying completely. But private Nigeria has to be encouraged to come in fully. Even Great Britain have gotten here because the private world has gotten it.
You are right, absolutely right. The fact of the case is government cannot adequately
I'm not saying,
but you still need political will in order to get things done.
Definitely.
But the private Nigeria has to come in and have a grapple of sports. And that is where we can move forward.
And what government should do is provide that conducive environment for private Nigeria to be able and confident that things are not going to change overnight and then they will lose their investment.
Okay.
So those are the issues.
Okay, I think you've made excellent submissions, gentlemen, and I'm just hoping that the authorities are listening as well. But one country is celebrating a momentous occurrence. Botswana's President Mogwesi Masisi declared an afternoon day off today, August 9, 2024, in honor of Letsile Tebogo, the country's first ever Olympic gold medalist in the 200 meters. This recognition celebrates Tebogo's achievement as both the first Botswana and the first African to secure gold in this event. The president's proclamation reflects the nation's respect for Tebogo's success and is a tribute to his late mother, marking the occasion in Botswana's sporting history. A Friday statement on the president's X account issued by his permanent secretary disclosed this. President Masisi's decision reflects the nation's recognition of Tebogo's remarkable achievements and the desire to celebrate the historic moment in Botswana's history. We also hear that he's also going to get a considerable amount of money, probably $70,000. But it's also, and it's interesting because the likes of Frankie Fredericks tried for many years for Namibia, but never won an Olympic.
No African has done this.
No African has ever done this. So
and it's still 24.
I just to say that some years ago, Udodio Uzurike defeated him at the under-20 World Championship
in Kenya.
In Kenya.
Where's Udodio Uzurike?
Udodio got to the semi-finals.
But one person is winning. It just goes to show you consistency.
And Letsile has been knocking on the door all year.
Yeah.
It's been consistent all year. Maybe not winning the titles. But this is like a crowning moment for him.
I agree. In terms of a crowning moment, it was a crowning moment for Team Canada's 4x100 meters men's team in the relay final. They charged to a gold medal in 37.50 seconds following an exceptional performance. South Africa sprinted to silver in 37.57 seconds, while Great Britain picked up another bronze in 37.61 seconds. In the women's 4x100 meter race, the United States of America won that one, showcasing their dominance in this event. Sha'Carri Richardson anchored the Americans to gold in a time of 41.78 seconds. Great Britain claimed silver in 41.85 seconds, while Germany grabbed an equally impressive bronze in 41.97 seconds. France finished fourth, and Jamaica, if you're wondering where they are, they finished fifth. Some interesting news coming out of the Olympic Games as well. Egyptian Olympic wrestler Mohamed Kesho Ibrahim has been arrested in Paris for an alleged sexual assault. The Paris prosecutor's office released a statement saying on August 9th around 5 a.m., a man born in 1998 in Egypt, who is a wrestler with the Olympic delegation, was arrested in front of a cafe, and it is understood that he was arrested for allegedly touching the posterior of another customer in a cafe. Well, if the allegations are
1998.
substantiated,
This was 1998.
wait, hold on. That's what they said. That's what they said. And if the allegations are substantiated, the wrestler will face permanent suspension and will be barred from participating in both domestic and international competitions. That's according to the Egyptian Olympic Committee. Also, still talking about the Olympics as well, there was semi-finals in the women's basketball today. United States defeated Australia 85-64, while France are currently facing Belgium right now. If my producer can get me that result, I think France were leading last time I checked, but yeah, there you go. It is currently ongoing now. It is actually Belgium who are leading by just 5 points.
European champions.
Yes, Belgium, and that's France 41, Belgium 46. The winner of that match will play United States in the gold medal match. Don't forget that there was also another semi-final yesterday in the men's game. The United States of America needed to dig very, very deep. Very, very deep.
That a tribute to me.
Yeah, well, not you. It was Stephen Curry who particularly saved them. Scored loads of points yesterday as the United States came back, losing the first 3 quarters, but got hot in the fourth quarter, beating Serbia 95-91, while France also defeated Germany 73-69. So it's the USA versus France in the final. That arena in Bercy is going to be absolutely hot. And and also and then they're also going to be France also trying to make it a similar final if they can face the United States women's team in the other semi-final. Finally, before we go on this part of the show, very quickly, let's tell you that Ma Long made Chinese Olympic history with his 6th goal of his career on Friday in the men's team event in Paris to embellish his reputation as the best table tennis table tennis player ever. The 35-year-old played his part in a 3-0 victory over Sweden that put China on the verge of a clean sweep in the French capital. Although the matches were closer than the results suggest, Ma's 6th goal took him past divers Wu Mingjia and Chen Rulin and gymnast Zhu Kai with the most gold medals of any Chinese athlete in Olympic history, as well as his record haul of Olympic golds. Ma has also won an astonishing 14 world titles and was China's male flag bearer at the opening ceremony. Okay, very quickly, before we take a short break, the national under-18 women's handball team of Nigeria wrapped up their last phase of preparation ahead of the IHF Women's Under-18 World Cup in China. Coach Shitu Agbola, head coach of the Under-18 national handball team, expressed his pride and optimism about the team's recent accomplishments, and the coach highlighted the team's impressive track record, noting that his group of young athletes have participated in 4 tournaments and secured podium finishes in each one. Team captain Esther Matthew echoed the coach's enthusiasm and outlined the team's ambitious goals for the upcoming championship, stating that they're aiming for the gold medal.
From the group stage to the finals, we are aiming for the finals and we are aiming for gold. And our best motivation is the love we have for ourselves. We carry ourselves from scratch. We don't see ourselves as competitors. Even from the screening, we see ourselves from like sisters from the beginning. So we are always having each other.
We try to look back at where we are coming from. First, this is the first time the team is qualifying for this championship. 2, Nigeria female handball has been in the doldrum for almost 30-something years. This is a lifeline for female handball. This crop of girls has gone to 4 tournaments, and of the 4 tournaments, they've been all on the podium. I'm so proud. I'm so glad that I am part of this history, and I'm also proud that I'm going to be part of this history in the making. We are really prepared. This team is a cumulative preparation for these girls. We've been together for 1 year plus, and like I tell you, being on the podium for 4 times is really a big one. Angola is undeniable African champion. It is the first time in history that Nigeria ever defeated Angola. First time, it was in the Nations Cup. Nigeria defeated Angola in the Nations Cup to take the bronze medal. So if you really look at what we actually bring, you will know that these are future champions for Nigeria.
That's Coach Shitu Agbola, head coach of the Under-18 national handball team of Nigeria, as they're getting ready for the women's Under-18 World Cup that will be holding in China in just a few days. You're also watching Game On. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll be talking about football, everything that happened, transpired today at the Olympic Games, and more coming up this weekend. Football is back. Believe it or not, the Portuguese League starts tonight. There's also the Charity Shield also to be played in England tomorrow. We'll be talking about all this and much more after the break. Thank you so much for watching. You're still watching Game On here on News Central Television. And believe it or not, we've been getting lots of feedback from a lot of people who are asking us that we would really like to contribute to the show. And even the guys in the studio are saying, yeah, it's a great idea. So here now, today, I make a firm promise that every Friday, we will open the phone lines and ask you to just call in and just pretty much tell us what's on your mind regarding sports, regarding the Olympic Games, Nigeria's participation, football, boxing, UFC, whatever. We will open the phone lines every Friday to allow fans wherever you are to join in on the show. We'll be looking forward to that. It will happen next Friday. I give you my firm word of honor.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Or online on the social media platforms.
Of
put their
course.
questions for those who don't have a phone close by or outside of Nigeria.
Right. We can also put your tweets on, put your tweets right there on the screen. We would like to hear what you're thinking regarding sports in general. And speaking about sports, football was also on the menu today at the Olympic Games. Germany beat world champion Spain 1-0 to win the bronze medal in the Olympic women's football final in Paris 2024. Juila Guin scored the only goal, converting from the penalty spot on 65 minutes after she was clumsily fouled by Spain goalkeeper Katakol. There was late drama as Spain were handed a lifeline with a penalty 7 seconds from time, but Alexia Putellas was denied by a fine save by goalkeeper Anne-Catherine Berger, and Spain had the best chance of a quiet first half with Aitana Bonmati hitting the woodwork minutes before the break. World Cup and Nations League winners Spain, who are playing in the Olympics for the first time, dominated possession in the latter stages and had a flurry of chances, but ultimately could not find the goal to force extra time. And victory in Lyon means that Germany have won the bronze medal for a fourth time after doing so in 2000, 2004 and 2008. And still talking about Spain, they emerged from a scintillating Olympic men's football final against France with a 5-3 victory after extra time and their second ever gold medal, with the other coming doing their own when they hosted the Olympics in 1992. France had the opened the scoring through Enzo Milot in the 11th minute, but Barcelona midfielder Fermin Lopez, who has been in excellent goal scoring form in this competition, he fired a double to give Spain the lead. And Alex Baena then left the French goalkeeper rooted with a pinpoint free kick to go into halftime with a 3-1 lead. France fought back in the second half. Michael Olise's low free kick in the 79th minute took a deflection off from Margales Agliuche to give them hope of a remarkable comeback. And this comeback was completed when Jean-Philippe Mateta converted a 93rd minute penalty, tying the match at 3-3 and taking the encounter into extra time. However, it was not to be a glorious night for France and their coach Thierry Henry. Substitute Sergio Canelo, he delightfully chipped the ball over goalkeeper Orestes to make it 4-3. Then the 23-year-old applied the salt to French wounds, breaking forward and executing the same kind of finish to make it 5-3 and handing Spain the gold medal. But gentlemen, it's been an interesting, particularly interesting Olympic football event, especially for the men, because I'm taking a close look at that Moroccan team. They were absolutely brilliant. And don't forget, Morocco are hosting the next Africa Cup of Nations on home soil. It is going to be particularly tough. But I'm so sorry. Just before allow the show to go on, I must confess that we've actually made a switch. Favor Itwa has gone, and we now have Okpe Adebari, Mr. Italiano himself, Serie A, joining us tonight. Okpe, Morocco, Egypt, both of them look good for future football prospects.
Oh, definitely. They do look good. And I think in terms of infrastructure as well, Morocco is up there now. That's why they are going to be able to host the next
Up there, they're number one in Africa.
Oh, of course. That's what I was implying. And then in terms of the quality of football as well, over the years, they've been there. You've seen the type of stars that they've been able to produce. And look, it's only great things from the North Africans. They continue to show us why they're leading. Tunisia is catching up with Morocco and Egypt right now. So By the next AFCON, don't be surprised when you still see this crop of teams in the knockout stages. We saw this earlier in January. That was the case. So it's good quality football coming from them, and I think they are good representatives of Africa currently when we're talking about football.
Well, we talked about the fact that men's football was particularly exciting at the Olympic Games, but don't forget there's still a women's football final to be navigated. It's the United States versus Brazil. That promises to be a great game as well. Possibly, everyone is handing it to the USA. But if this Olympics has taught us anything, it's that the favorites don't always get their way. Still talking about football now, we talked about the fact that it is the Community Shield weekend in England. It is the Battle of Manchester. Manchester United versus Manchester City. Manchester City, of course, won the Premier League last season. Manchester United claimed the FA Cup. Season opener for both teams. Wale, this Manchester City team, is it safe to say that English football is now a farmers' league? Because, considering the fact that Man City have won 4 consecutive trophies, and we've always claimed that the likes of PSG do the same, Bayern do the same. Is it safe to say that the English football is now a farmers' league?
It depends on what you define as a farmers' league.
No, but I'm not talking about onions or growing grapes or cabbage.
Yeah, but City have monopolized it. They're even favorites to make it 5. Yeah, that's how good they've been, But you get a feeling that maybe Arsenal are going to ask questions this season, or ask more questions this season. Maybe Liverpool also with Ancelotti. Who knows what United will come through with. Chelsea look like they're going to put together two separate teams.
Oh, yeah.
They're buying everybody.
But City still heads and shoulders above everyone. They've got Haaland, they've got Kevin De Bruyne. Julian Alvarez is leaving, but you get a feeling that City have been here time and again, where key players leave and they still find a way to regenerate. I think they are favourites again tomorrow. Especially against the United side who are dealing with injuries.
No Kyle Walker, no John Stones.
Yeah, and Eric Ten Hag has said, hey, I'm not going to be risking anyone tomorrow. So if you're not fit, he only has 3 senior defenders: Johnny Evans, Diogo Dalot, and Licha. And he says he's not going to risk the others.
So he probably play 3-4-3.
Yeah. So, but Zexi might get his debut up front because Højlund is injured. But you should look forward to a good game. I think United also have been decent in pre-season. Their US tour also has been a bit quiet.
They were plastered 3-0.
Yeah, they lost Liverpool and Arsenal.
The result doesn't exactly stop.
Yeah, but last season's pre-season was a bit more chaotic. This time around it's a bit more measured. So who knows what United are going to get tomorrow? Is it the United that finished 8th or the United that won the FA Cup final?
We will see. Yeah. But Tony Bitoye mentioned something earlier on about Chelsea. Well, Chelsea have bought another player again, agreeing a deal worth almost £54 million for Wolverhampton Wanderers forward Pedro Neto. The exciting Portuguese winger will have a medical before finalising a move to Stamford Bridge, and that will take Chelsea's summer spending past £200 million. Chelsea struck a deal with Wolves. An initial £51.3 million will be paid, with £2.6 million in add-on. Tony, I don't even think they have a team boss big enough to. They probably need 2 bosses to bring on this player.
That's always been Chelsea's style. The players out on loan, you lose count of the number of players. Some may never even get to wear the Chelsea jersey or ever.
Step forward, Kenneth Romero.
It's always been a problem for Chelsea. They're still looking for solutions to some of their problems. But if they say money can buy success, Chelsea should be a good proof.
True.
So we'll find out at the end of the season if the huge amount of money is being spent can help them maybe get a decent finish.
Very quickly, Toyi, they still talk that despite everything that they've done, they still want to buy Victor Osimhen. If you were Victor Osimhen, would you want to come to this kind of, yes, young, exciting players, but I don't know, it seems...
If I'm Victor Osimhen, I'm going to Saudi.
See, the bigger question here is, in all of this, I get a feeling that even their manager has not been carried along. So I'm not surprised when Jamie Carragher said today that he will bet that Maresca doesn't end the season with them as manager.
It's very possible.
It's a scattergun approach. I even think the Premier League itself has to start investigating and look at what's really happening.
Let's not forget, there is a loophole approach from Chelsea. Take a look at the contracts being signed by these players.
7-year
contracts. One thing about some of these transfers is that the money is not being made immediately. Rather, Chelsea is not paying outrightly for these players right now. For some of them, the payment is being spread across this number of years. But the question is, what happens when these players do not get going? What happens then? And then you sending these players on loan, and then the value keeps depreciating. So how do you make the money back?
Sell them.
Well, Chelsea have 8 goalkeepers.
9.
Oh, 9.
now.
They just got one yesterday.
Yeah, they got another one this
Yeah,
evening.
from
They have
Ghana.
as many goalkeepers as normal players in
A
the first team.
2005 born goalkeeper was signed today by Chelsea.
My God.
Well, maybe there's a plan for a Chelsea A, Chelsea B.
Like I said,
Chelsea.
maybe two Chelsea sides want to play Premier League this season.
Yes, one in the
Yeah.
Premier League, one in the FA Cup, one in the Carling Cup
It
as
honestly
well.
sounds right to me.
Yeah, okay.
It sounds about right.
Before we go, just very quickly, the last football story. Okay, we had Barcelona still signing players as well. They signed Spain playmaker Dani Olmo from RB Leipzig. The 25-year-old returns to Barcelona in a deal worth £51 million after Spain playing for the Spanish club at youth level before joining Croatia's Dinamo Zagreb. He also signed a 6-year deal with Barcelona. He's had a roundabout career, but eventually returns to where he started. But good move for him.
Brilliant move. La Masia is a highly competitive, should I say, academy. He left them to go and make his name in Dinamo Zagreb, did very well for them. He's a cult hero in Croatia. Went to RB Leipzig, plied his trade very well. He reminds you a bit of the likes of Iniesta and David Silva because he can play both on the wings and in midfield as well. He was brilliant for Spain at the Euros. So it's a good move for him, better move for Barcelona, because they've been lacking in the last couple of years. So it's a good move for them, but signing him means no Nico Williams for Barcelona.
Okay.
Where did you even find him?
Well, all right. That's an interesting question. But thank you, Okwe Adibari, for joining us tonight. Always a pleasure having you on the show. Toyin Bitoye, always a pleasure seeing you and bringing in always lots of experience. Then Wale Adegun as well, taking pot shots at everybody, even me as well.
Yeah, but I was well behaved today, right?
Really? after calling me and looking like an Agbalumo. To the guys behind the scenes, overripe one. To the guys behind the scenes who made this possible, thank you as well. But before we go, let's tell you that the Chief Minister of Pakistan's Punjab province, Mariam Nawaz, has announced a 100 million rupee cash prize. That's over $350,000 for javelin thrower Arshad Nadeem, who set a new Olympic record with a monstrous 92.97 meter en route to an unprecedented goal in Paris. A remarkable turnaround for an athlete who had to seek crowdfunding for a new javelin just months before the games. Nawaz said a sports city named after the athlete will be built in his hometown of Kanewal, and Nadeem had faced Olympic gold medal that Pakistan has had since winning hockey gold in 1984. That's our show tonight. Many thanks to everyone who made it possible. Game On returns on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend.